Hey there, thanks for tuning in to episode number 100 of the Fast Pass Podcast. That's right, this is the 100th episode of the Fast Pass Podcast, and not only that, this is also the 2-year anniversary since we launched the Fast Pass Podcast. Stay tuned all the way to the end for a special announcement from us here at the Fast Pass Podcast. And now, it's your Fast Pass time. The Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival will return to the park March 4th, and with it, eye-catching floral displays, photo-worthy topiaries, and much more. The festival will also feature exclusive annual pass holder offerings you won't want to miss, including pass holder exclusive magnets. Pass holders can receive 2 new complimentary magnets at this year's festival. The Donald Duck with Spike the Bee magnet will be available March 4th through April 19th, while Orange Bird will make his magnet debut April 20th through June 1st. Both magnets will be available at Mouse Gear. Pass holder exclusive merchandise. Be on the lookout for pass holder exclusives, including tees and pins. Also check out the new Orange Bird and Donald and Spike collections. Pass holders can also take advantage of their 20% discount on merchandise. Discounted Garden Rocks Concert Series packages. The American Garden Theater will play host to performances by fan-favorite bands and musicians, including 20 new artists this year. Pass holders can get a 10% discount on dining packages, which is the most seamless way to experience the concert series. Discounted tours. Delightful tours can be unearthed throughout the festival. Pass holders get a 15% discount on the Behind the Seeds and Garden of World tours. This year, outdoor kitchens will feature the season's freshest flavors. Returning favorites include Flavorful Kitchen, sponsored by Advent Health, Trowel and Trellis, where all of the dishes are plant-based creations, and the favorite Orange Bird Sipper. New for this year, a Spike the Bee Sipper, inspired by the Disney character who first appeared in Disney short films in the 1940s, will also be available at the Honey Bistro, and will contain the popular Honey Peach Freeze. Both specialty sippers will be available while supplies last. Spike the Bee will also be hiding among his favorite flowers throughout World Showcase as a part of Spike's Pollination Exploration Scavenger Hunt. Maps can be purchased at Mouse Gear, World Traveler, and select festival markets. Don't forget, pass holders can use their 20% merchandise discount. 1 Donald Duck magnet and 1 Orange Bird magnet per pass holder. Available while supplies last. Must visit Mouse Gear and must present your valid annual pass and photo ID to receive the magnets. The time has come, fellow Americans, for us to celebrate American barbecue at the now open Regal Eagle Smokehouse, Craft Drafts and Barbecue, hosted by Coca-Cola at Epcot. In the heart of the American Adventure Pavilion, a glorious restaurant named after the regalist eagle, Sam Eagle of the Muppets, joins the ever-growing collection of dining establishments around World Showcase. This distinctly patriotic fast casual restaurant has won the honor of hosting Sam's Centennial Cook-Off, a salute to all cook-offs, but mostly barbecue. A competition fit for all patriots and pit masters. The contest brings a variety of classic backyard barbecue selections from across the country together to battle it out for Sam's top award. On the menu are barbecue dishes such as Kansas City smoked chicken, Memphis dry rub pork ribs, North Carolina chopped smoked pork butt, and a Texas beef brisket sandwich. For those looking for a lighter option, the Power Green salad is a great choice too, with fresh citrus fruit, sunflower seeds, dried cranberries, and radishes drizzled with a fresh citrus vinaigrette and topped with chilled pulled chicken. There's also a delicious plant-based barbecue jackfruit burger served on garlic toast. Outside, the outdoor bar and patio is a great place to sit back and enjoy a selection of all American beverages too. The drink menu features craft brews and ciders from across the country, on draft, as well as wines from the West Coast, Coca-Cola fountain beverages, and specialty regional cocktails like the Tennessee Lemonade with whiskey and peach, or the non-alcoholic berry punch with white grape juice, strawberry, peach, and blackberry. In addition, at a nearby merchandise cart, you'll be able to browse a selection of exclusive merchandise featuring none other than Sam Eagle. So what are you waiting for? Regal Eagle Smokehouse, Craft Drafts, and Barbecue is now open at Epcot. It's an exciting day at the most magical place on Earth, Walt Disney World Resort. The Magic Kingdom Park's iconic, awe-inspiring centerpiece, Cinderella Castle, is about to get even more magical. Cinderella first transformed into a princess 70 years ago this week when the animated classic was released, and ever since, her courage and kindness have been inspiring guests and cast members alike. Disney's excited to share that her story has inspired a bold, shimmering, and royal makeover of her namesake castle at the heart of Walt Disney World Resort. If you've seen the concept art, you may notice the exciting work taking place as stunning enhancements begin in the coming weeks. continuing through summer. But don't worry, you'll still get to catch all of your favorite castle favorites like Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair and Happily Ever After. Whether it's embarking on a quest for hidden treasure, sailing the high seas, or singing along with rogue pirates, there's plenty of pirate-themed ventures for little ones throughout the Vacation Kingdom. Here are just a couple of ways to get your pirate on at the Walt Disney World Resort. Pirates of the Caribbean. Families are swept away into a pirate's world on this iconic Magic Kingdom park adventure. Little ones will love the sailing voyage that includes an encounter with Blackbeard, a pirate raid with villainous Captain Barbossa, and Captain Jack Sparrow, and more during this scenic peek into 17th century pirate life. And good luck trying to get yo ho, a pirate's life for me unstuck from your mind. The nearby Adventureland gift shop features all sorts of swords, eye patches, gems, and countless treasures sure to engage your little one. Captain Hook is looking for new recruits at a treasure-seeking, high-energy sailing escapade at Disney's Beach Club Resort. Parents can drop off their little ones, ages 4 and up, and they can learn all about being a buccaneer on the high seas. Kids will learn pirate lingo, solve puzzles, and gather clues on land before cruising around Crescent Lake on a quest for some pirate booty. The fun-filled evening culminates with a feast fit for a pirate. It's an ideal option for parents looking for a way to entertain their youngsters while they're on a date night at Disney. Pirate rooms. There's even seaworthy quarters fit for a swashbucklers at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. These special pirate rooms decked out with nautical accents, furniture crafted from crates and barrels, and authentic ship-themed beds will surely delight me hearties. If you want to amp it up even more, there's a pirate-themed in-room celebration where Captain Jack leaves clues leading to a treasure chest overflowing with pirate-themed goodies. And don't forget that you can spot Captain Hook and Mr. Smee during the daily Festival of the Fantasy Parade that winds through Magic Kingdom Park. So, depending on your little one's interest in plundering pirates, there are lots of ways to enjoy the pirate's life at the Walt Disney World Resort. Hey, that just about does it here with the 100th episode of the Fast Pass podcast. But before we wrap things up, I did just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to those of you who have tuned in and who may have been tuning in since the beginning. So I want to say a sincere thank you to those, to all of you, really. And also to go off a script just for a brief moment here, which to those of you who have tuned in, you know this is something that we've never done here. So the idea here was that, hey, it's a 2-year anniversary. Let's give you guys just a quick, little, brief background history, whatever you want to call, about what the Fast Pass podcast is, because I've never formally come out and really stated what this podcast is. So to those of you that have tuned in for a while, you may have a good idea of it, but hey, for those of you that are new, hey, this is what it is. So the idea came to me about 2.5 years ago. I will share this real quick also. I am a former Disney cast member. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing bad happened. I can go back anytime if I want. But the idea was, hey, let's scratch the Disney itch, so to speak. So the idea behind the Fast Pass podcast was to make a podcast that was quick, straight to the point, and that was just news, no discussions about it. However, if you do want me to do discussions, definitely willing to do it. I'm just very limited with the time and the production on this particular podcast. So the idea, really going back, was to make a podcast that was at least 10 minutes long. This one's going to go over 10 minutes long, and some episodes do go over 10 minutes and some go under 10 minutes. But the idea was to make it that's not a hour-long podcast. I know there are hour-long podcasts out there. I know those are very popular. I enjoy listening to hour-long podcasts as well, but not everyone has that time, and I don't have that time every week to be able to listen to a podcast and really enjoy it and get everything that there is to it. So the idea was to make a podcast that's, hey, it's 10 minutes, find some time in your week, most likely you can, whether you're doing laundry or, a quick commute or waiting for somebody at the airport, or maybe you're going somewhere, whatever it is. That was the idea. Just, hey, listen to it, get over it, and move on and form your own opinions. Which I'll get to that in just a second. But the idea was, hey, if you got to stop the podcast, you can pick it right back up, whether it be 5 seconds later, 5 hours later, 5 days later, and still be able to understand what's being said. So there was that. The other thing goes back to the non-bantering back and forth with the additional, I'm going to call it the rumor mill, but I don't, whatever that may be. And that's not a dig at anybody. That's not me, bashing another podcast. No, nothing like that. Nothing wrong with it. I know there are rumors that come true, and I know there's a lot of rumors that don't come true. And I know there's a lot of opinions out there. It is the internet. My idea was to keep my opinions out of it. So if you do want to hear my take on some of the stories or whatever, definitely let me know. Reach out on Twitter at the FastPass, Facebook, the FastPass Podcast, or email me, fastpasspodcasting@gmail.com. I do my best to check the emails as much as I can. But yeah, so there's that aspect of it. And so the idea was that was the premise of it. Hey, just make a quick podcast, get it produced, do it every week or as weekly as you can. Usually the times that I don't do it each week is usually just because I'm either away for a majority of the week or something else has come up. But usually I try to get it up every week. Usually Friday, Saturday time range is whenever I try to get it posted. And that goes back to, if you follow me on social media or the Fast Pass Podcast on social media, you'll notice the only thing that gets posted is, hey, here's the story. Here's the podcast. That's it. Just because I know there's other outlets that do it. They do it very well. They do it better than what I do. I don't have the time to stay on top of all the stories. So like I said, my idea was to produce this podcast usually within an hour and just to get something posted, uploaded. And that was it. That was it. So I know there are other people out there that have the time and resources to be able to do like a history podcast and all those, and they're great. I love, Disney history as much as the next person, but I just don't have those resources because this podcast is not sponsored. So I do this as just from my heart, just because of my enjoyment of Disney and the theme parks and all that the company does, good, bad, or indifferent. So that was the story. That's how the Fast Pass Podcast came to be. And for those of you that have been tuning in for at least the past 7-8 months, you'll notice that every now and again, I spread in a little Universal theme park news. And the idea behind that was I wanted to add some diversity. I know that there is a very heavy rivalry between the two, or at least the internet makes it look that way. But hey, they're each great. I don't have anything against either one. There's some things that Disney does better. There's some things that Universal does better, and vice versa. Good, bad, and different. But yeah, the idea was just, hey, let's add a little variety. So the only little minor dig that I will give is that Universal does not do as good of a job, I guess I should say, of posting updates to their website or blog posts or anything. And it's not their fault. It's just the way that they operate, as what Disney does, because Disney will post, 3, 4, 5 times a day. But sometimes not all 5 posts are all that great. In fact, sometimes they're video posts from Disney and I can't use those. So that's the only little thing there. So that's why it's not always in there. But hey, if they have something that's easy that I think, hey, this is interesting, this is something that a broad range of people will enjoy. That's why I try not to be all Star Wars. I try not to cover just the cruise lines. I try not to cover purely food, because I know that there's little niches out there. I try to be general with it, try to get short, sweet, to the point. And yes, that's the idea there. So that's why sometimes there's some Universal news, sometimes there's not. And it's really hard for me just to, create some articles or to curate them, I should say, to be interesting. So that's the reason why. So if you do check out their website, you're like, well, why didn't you cover this? Well, it's usually just because either A, I missed it, or which is usually the biggest one, or B, I just didn't feel it fit, or it was, especially the food related blogs or blog posts. Yeah, those ones are sometimes pretty long and hard, just because, pictures are better. So, but yeah, so that's the kind of brief, but also total history of the Fast Pass Podcast. So yeah, I just felt like, hey, it was time to do a quick little, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is why it is. I've never taken the moment to just kind of pull the curtain back, kind of sit back, relax, and just kind of give the idea here. So I'm hoping you've enjoyed this little, behind the scenes peek, so to speak, or pulled the curtain back. So like I said, I just want to say again, thank you. And if you're interested in going back and listening to older episodes, but you can't find them, highly recommend going over to YouTube. There is no video component to this podcast at all, but if you're ever like, hey, there was like a podcast episode like 3 months ago and I talked about something and I would like to hear it again, go back there, because Spreaker and SoundCloud, I don't pay for the services to store a lot of files on there. And since it's a topical podcast, I figure once it gets full, which is usually about 2 to 3 months of podcasts, I just delete them out and continue adding to them. So that's kind of the point that I'm making there, is like, hey, this is topical. hopefully you enjoyed it. If you missed it, whatever, like I said, go to YouTube. Again, no video. It's all purely just audio. It'll just be the logo and that's it. So, but like I said, I do try to keep on top of my social media. So if you enjoy the podcast at all, definitely let me know. And if you enjoy this more relaxed, going behind the scenes or pulling the curtain back, or just bantering, a little bit of bantering. Hey, I'm not against it. I just don't have the resources to do it all the time. So definitely, but let me know. Definitely, I'm here for you all. But like I said, my goal was to make a podcast that I would listen to, and I watch the metrics and I see there are people listening. So hey, I'm not alone out there. The internet is a great place. So definitely. But like I said, if you guys want to hear more of my stuff, definitely let me know. My social media handles and stuff. But yeah, like I said, just want to wrap this up now because we're in the 16-minute range and want to keep the podcast as short as possible. So, but yeah, no, definitely want to say thank you again for those of you who have actually tuned in the whole way to this point. But also for those of you who have tuned in and listened to the podcast over the past few weeks, months, years. So yeah, here's to another 100 episodes and another 2 years, hopefully. And for those of you that tune in regularly, or those of you that are new, usually whenever the podcast ends, it will sound a little something like this. Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode of the Fast Pass Podcast. Never miss an episode by subscribing, and we always appreciate your comments and feedback. Connect, like, and share via Facebook, Twitter, or email us at fastpasspodcasting@gmail.com. The Fast Pass Podcast is an independent podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or any other associated companies or brands. Stories featured in this podcast were sourced from the Disney Parks blog and/or the Universal Orlando Parks blog. The Fast Pass Podcast is produced by ARS Productions, copyright 2020.